What is up, guys? Welcome back to a first Fantasy Euros video. Today, well, I will start off by saying the link to join the league is in the description. 27 people so far. A lot of familiar faces such as Kobe Miranda, Paul McElhaney, Alan Shidpads. I assume that is Alan Warning or Alan Waring. A lot of normal people. As well as some new people. I see Harveen in there as well. I'm not going to go through everybody, but thank you guys for joining again. It's good to see a lot of people playing Euros that came from FPL. The good news is I have not checked anything yet. The good news is Berardi, as we can see here, is in the starting 11. I will pull up the starting lineups right now so I can actually confirm who all is going to start. The game doesn't start for 30 minutes, so luckily I have plenty of time, but always good to make sure I'm not way behind on everything. So let's go to the lineups. Where would I even find the lineups, though? That is the question. I do have some last second decisions to make, but I'm not exactly sure where I would find the exact lineups besides simply Googling Italy versus Turkey. Hey Kobe, how is it going? Long time no see indeed. How is the team shaping up for you, my friend? You got any Italian players? I feel like I probably need some more Italian players. As I mentioned in my last video, I'm a big fan of having players that play in this first game, and Italy play in multiple first games. This game week and the third game week. I'm going to keep saying game weeks instead of match day. It just keeps it simpler for me. I'm going to try to stick with that. So we have Immobile, Insigne, Berardi, Locatelli, Jorginho, Barella, Spinazzola, Chiellini, Bonucci, Florenzi, and Donnarumma. So very experienced defenders. A lot of people were doubting whether Florenzi was going to start or not, but he does. So they're going with experience with Chiellini and Bonucci back there as well, which leaves a lot of defenders on the bench. Chiesa is on the bench, and Bernardeschi is on the bench, both as expected. As far as Turkey, 4.5 million goalkeeper is starting. Not a bad option. I'm not really a huge fan of any of these defenders since, what's his name, isn't starting. Kabak's not starting. I don't know the prices of these other guys, though. Maybe their fullbacks could be somewhat decent, but at 4.5, as I mentioned in my last video as well, there's so many good options there. They don't beat out any of the other 4.5 defenders. There's at least 5 better, so yeah, definitely not going with them. The Italy players I'm interested in, there's a decent amount. I think I'm going to stay away from the defenders, not because I don't think they'll get points, but like I said, I like the 4.5 defenders. Spinazzola could be the option, a little bit of attacking threat. With Florenzi starting, that's tempting as well, though, because, you know, potential set pieces. Someone let me know if you think Florenzi is on set pieces. I'm not entirely sure. I know that he can cross and he's got good delivery, but I'm not entirely sure. Jorginho should be on penalties. That would be my guess, but we never really know for sure. He has taken some, Jorginho, for the national team. I'm interested in Jorginho for that reason. Locatelli at 5.5 isn't terrible. His key stats aren't that bad. I mentioned him in my first video. Let's pull up sofascore.com. I have Jorginho pulled up at the moment. And let's go to Italy's recent fixtures, if this will load. I'll bring up Locatelli, actually. Now, this is my differential option. Anybody that's looking for a 5.5. Maybe you already have Alaba. I'm not going to sit here and say Locatelli is better than Alaba, but if you want to go even cheaper in midfield, you could throw him in there as well as Alaba, and then go elsewhere. So I have made some changes to my team while that loads. Insigne or Berardi, it's such a huge price difference. It really depends on what price you're available to spend. I personally am not a big fan of Berardi. He's one of the players in my team that I'm least confident in, and the reason for that is I'm almost certain that he's going to get subbed off around 60 minutes or somewhere around there. That's where I would completely imagine he would be probably the first sub to come off. They have some decent wingers on the bench. So if we look, they have Chiesa and Bernardeschi and Bellotti as well. I mean, he's a striker, but still an attacker. I would imagine that one of those guys gets subbed in early in the second half, and Berardi's the one to come off. Insigne probably playing 90 minutes, And of course, Immobile is probably going to play 90 minutes as well, and he doesn't really fit the good wingers they have on the bench. I think Berardi gets subbed off. I'm considering getting rid of him in the next 30 minutes. So if you had to choose, I would certainly try to get Insigne. Also, having both is a good option as well. Get 2 attackers in this first game where we know they're going to start for sure. Not an issue. Hey, how is it going, Mr. Tosakovic? Any 6.5 or lower forwards except Che Adams? Well, I would have said Che Adams, so now let's go look. This is it's an interesting one because it's so much different than what everyone else is doing, and you can get so much money from it. But you're really paying for the reliability of a lot of these guys. I will say, though, I'm not confident in Depay. I took Lewandowski and what's his name? Shaqiri out, and I put in Eriksen and Depay. That's the change that I've made. I'm not completely confident in Depay, though. Simply because I don't trust Netherlands. I just simply don't. But I'm trying to go for a talismanic approach. So my general approach is like, you know what? We don't really know. Besides, like, I'm confident in that Belgium will do decent offensively. And Portugal and Spain, I think, are going to be up there as well, especially Portugal. That's why I have Ronaldo and Lukaku. So I want to get the talisman from as many teams as I can. I think Torres is the closest thing to a talisman from Spain that they have right now. Eriksen's certainly the talisman of Denmark. I like the talismanic approach because I think it's hard to predict which teams are going to do well, simply because we don't get to see them play 38 games a season like we do the league games. So that's sort of my general thought. But then I do have Mount and Berardi in there as well, which we just don't know. I mean, Mount, I would assume that he's going to be nailed on. He may be one of the guys that gets 90 minutes every game. So I could see that. That's why he's in there right now. That's the hope anyway. So let's look at cheap forwards. I do like Yilmaz. I like this guy. I'm not going to try to say his name, but Austria's most expensive forward. Because especially if you're using Limitless in Game Week 2, you get to avoid the Netherlands game. So you get North Macedonia and Ukraine, 7.5 million. Austria, are they good? Not really. But still, that's pretty good. That fits my strategy, and I could throw him in the team. I think he'll be decent as well. I wouldn't go for... Pukki's an option. I know that's 7 million. That's out of the price range specified for you. But Pukki, of course, talismanic. Like I said, I could always throw him in there, but the team's just too bad. I'm trying to go for teams that I could at least see making a good run, you know. And Netherlands is at least one of those teams, even though I don't think Depay is anywhere near as good as Lewandowski. But 6.5 million strikers. You know, this would be perfect if Spain played first. I would say Moreno. But I don't trust Moreno to start. I wouldn't personally take the risk, but this is a game where you can take some risks and easily sub someone off once they don't do anything, as long as you're confident in your other players. Are any of these guys going to start? I don't know a lot of the guys on the worst teams, so I'm not entirely sure because I've been so stuck in my big 3 forwards. I don't have too much information about a lot of these guys. I mean, I certainly wouldn't go Ben Yedder. That's 7 million, though. I wouldn't go Vidra. I mean, I guess he's an option. Obviously, you can't go Trossard. He's not going to play. Batshuayi isn't going to play. Trikovsky, I mean, he's 0% owned. He's probably going to play. But I still don't trust him too much. It's not the worst thing I've ever seen. I think I would probably try to go somewhere else besides Che Adams. I like Che Adams the most. That's the cheap guy I would go with. And if you're not going that cheap, I would go with the Austria guy, 7.5 million up here, wherever his name is. Or Pukki. Pukki's a decent option as well. Thoughts on going Barella as a nailed starter? I think I prefer Locatelli. Let's go back to what I was. This literally just didn't even load at all. So let's go to Locatelli and let's compare. Let's see who's better out of Locatelli and Barella. I think Locatelli actually has better numbers. Last time I checked, he was actually pretty decent from that. So Locatelli's 5.5 and Barella's $7 million. I would say Locatelli over Barella. I don't think he's worth $7 million. I think he's fine. I'm just not convinced he's worth $7 million. I know Locatelli's probably more defensive, but $7 million. I mean, there's a lot of options there at $7 million. None of them are really standout options, but there's a lot of pretty decent options there. So Locatelli, only 23. Let's see. In the friendlies, he's going to start. See, in San Marino, he came off the bench. Italy and Czech Republic, they don't give his rating. But he did start, and he played the whole game, which is good to see, because the same thing happened with Barella, who scored that game, which looks good for him. And Insigne, and you would assume these guys are nailed on, especially Insigne, that is. So I like Locatelli. I mean, Barella's fine too. I just think Locatelli's a little bit better just because of the price difference. I'm not convinced that there's too huge of a difference as far as attacking quality goes. We can see, like, in March, back when they played these World Cup qualifiers, Locatelli had a goal against Bulgaria in a 2-0 win, and he had an assist against Lithuania in a 2-0 win. So it's not like they were absolutely dominating these games as far as pounding in 5 goals. These were like somewhat meaningful goals and assists. He did get a yellow card in each game, but he's actually doing something, and his key passes are pretty decent. It's just there's not too many stats to go on. Like, these are a while back, but it's better to look at something than nothing. So I get that these are a while back, but it's still worth looking at for sure. So yeah, that's Locatelli. Let's go to his World Cup qualifier statistics for 2022. He had 2 shots per game. This is over 2 starts and 1 sub appearance. So very small sample size, but still 1.7 key passes per game, 2 shots per game. That is pretty good for a 5.5. I put him right up there with Alaba as a debatable best 5.5 mid. So yeah, I'm kind of a fan of Locatelli just because there's no options really. He's decent. Thoughts on implications of home advantage? I think home advantage is a real thing. Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure. It'll be interesting to see. Obviously, we haven't had fans in a while. Our set piece is going to be even more important than FPL. The one thing that is more important is winning penalties, because you can't have your penalty taker blow it for you. You win a penalty, you get 2 points. So I really like that. I think I like that more than FPL. I mean, I guess it doesn't really matter. The way penalties are scored in fantasy games is sort of like it's weird, right? Because let's say someone crosses to someone and they create a literal tap-in that's like objectively an easier chance than a penalty. They wouldn't get points for that, but they would get points for getting fouled in the box, which is technically creating a worse chance than the one they could have created 5 minutes ago. So they're getting rewarded for something that's not as good. But penalties are always quirky like that. Same thing for missing chances in FPL. You can miss a tap-in and you don't lose points, but you miss a penalty and you lose, you lose 1 or 2 points, however many it is in Fantasy Premier League. So, but that's just the way it is. Penalties is just a set way to say, hey, we know for sure this is a big chance, and it's a pressurized moment, and just a part of the game. But but to your question, I do think they're slightly more important in my opinion. Maybe not penalties, but other set pieces, because a lot of times we see national team games that simply don't have the same level of creativity. There's a lot of caginess in Euros, and the one time where they do feel like, okay, let's take this chance to score, or the one time where they're actually sending the ball into the box or having a decent chance to at least get a shot off, is set pieces. That's one reason why Mr. Ricardo Rodriguez is in my team. Set piece specialist, penalty taker. I actually like him. Good fixtures for me too. So yeah, I think that's a good question. You just decided to play Blues. Good to see you back. Everyone has a template team. Yeah, I mean, hey, I threw Eriksson in there. He's only 6% owned. I think a lot of the percentages and a lot of the people that will be watching this are going to be a little different. I think a lot of people will have Berardi, but he's only 2% owned, so that's still very differential. Let's keep this in mind. Mount is 30% owned. He's a little bit less in our sort of atmosphere. Kjaer is very highly owned. Like Windall, for example, he's a great option. Only 9%. I think he's arguably the best 4.5 defender. So Hey, William, how's it going? Kobe says Braithwaite or Yilmaz. I'm going to say Yilmaz. He's more talismanic, but I don't have a problem with Braithwaite. I don't know how you say it. He's on a better team. That would be the argument for him, and he doesn't have to play Italy in the first matchup. I don't know. I think personally, if you're limitlessing 2, then maybe Braithwaite has more of an argument there. Fits the strategy a little bit better. And back to Kobe's question for Ronaldo. I don't think it's risky to not have Ronaldo. I think forwards, I wouldn't overthink forwards. I know I'm sitting here with that pie out of my team staring at it, so I'm doing that. But there's so many great forward options, like from the value guys like Yilmaz all the way up. Obviously, all the premiums are great. Depay is going to be on penalties and taking all the set pieces. So if you have like Depay or Kane or Lewandowski instead of Ronaldo, I think it's perfectly fine. I really do. And I still want Lewandowski in my team. He's great as a player, but not only that, he has good fixtures. Like besides Matchday 2, which is fine with me, he plays Slovakia game week 1. I really want that, but I also could really use the 1.5 million that Depay gives me. It allows me to go Shaqiri to Eriksen, and I think that's a pretty big deal. So it's kind of unfortunate. Kane's obviously great as well. It's just they play Croatia week 1. I don't think Croatia will be good, but it's still much tougher than like Russia or even Ukraine, I would say. I do have Mount in there though, because as I said, I think 7 million on one of the best teams, somebody that should be starting every game in an attacking role, I think that's pretty good. A lot of the midfielders in this game aren't really as attacking as we see in FPL, like with the wingers like Salah. He would be listed as a forward in this game most likely. So I don't know. We see some wingers as midfielders, but it's a little bit inconsistent. Like Hazard's a mid. I'm not exactly sure how they did it. Rashford's a forward. It's like I don't, Mertens is going to be a winger, but he's listed as a forward, so it's a little bit inconsistent. But then we got people like Chiesa that are wingers that are going to be listed as mids, so, and Berardi as well. I think I'm going to stick with Berardi. I could throw Jorginho in there. Whoever the Italian player is certainly gets the captaincy, though. Locatelli. So only 15 minutes left. I would spend some more time on stats, but I just got back from work, and I need to really decide what I'm going to do here. I literally just got back, threw some water in my mouth, and started. Oh, yeah, so I want to explain my Marcos Llorente pick. He should, based on friendlies, he should be starting at right back for Spain. He's 5 million. He's listed as a midfielder, right? So I'm getting an extra 0.5 million compared to Alaba. And he looked very attacking in those games. I mean, it's typical Spain to allow the right and left back some space. Llorente had some key passes. I quite liked him. He's got good fixtures, Matchday 1 and 3. I'm going to take the chance that he gets an assist for me. I don't think it's that bad of an option. It's also pretty different than what a lot of the template people are doing. I wouldn't use that as a reason in FPL, but in Euros, I don't take it. I mean, I'm taking it seriously, obviously, but not as seriously in terms of, I don't know. I'm more open to taking risks. It's a shorter tournament, so I feel like risks, over the course of an FPL season, the combinations give you more opportunity to just naturally be differential, right? Because over the course of time, any two teams are going to be different just because it's such a long period of time. But in this one, it's not really the same. You could be picking the same team as someone every week, theoretically. It's way more likely anyway, because there's only 3 weeks to start off with, and that's what I'm focused on with the starting team. I think Llorente gives me a good 2, so I will stick with him for sure. The only people I have in question, Stecklenberg's 100% in. I think Llorente is going to be in. All my defenders are pretty much set. Yeah, I think so. Maybe Kjaer to I looked up how to say the name and I forgot. Mele or Mile. It's Mila or something like that. I know, but I'm messing it up. He's got good attacking threat. Someone let me know if you think he's going to start. I'm not entirely sure. Let's go look at the Denmark friendlies. I don't remember if he started or not. Serie A, though. And I know if they play wingbacks, he should definitely be starting. But we don't know for sure. So they beat Bosnia 2-0. It's good to see they scored 2 goals and 1 against Germany, because I did have some doubts about like their creativity as a team. Let's go to their lineups. I would say this is that going to be their first team? Maybe they have Eriksson in there. Let's go to what they did against Germany. Surely one of these is really what they're going to do. I would expect this to be more like their actual team. With Paulsen, Daniel Voss, Melee at left back, I think this is what they should do. With Højbjerg in there, this has to be their actual lineup, not the other one. So I would expect Denmark to start, I'm going to say exactly like this. Maybe an attacker is different. They should play like this defensively, though. So maybe Melee at left back would be interesting. He's probably not nailed on there, though, because he's a right back by trade. So it's not ideal. I'm kind of not sold on Eriksson after he didn't do anything in either game. But they play Finland. It's not that hard, right? He could sneak out some goals. I don't know. I don't really trust Denmark's attack that much. Let me see what I could do instead of Eriksson. I mean, I could go with one of the Portugal guys. I think Jota should start. Whether he does or not is debatable. But then I have France Matchday 3, and I don't know if I'll be willing to roll with that. It's kind of tough. I could just go with Insigne. I know for sure he's going to start. He should not get subbed off. Eriksson, I feel like there's some risk of him being subbed off because he's a little... I mean, he's not actually that old. He's only 29. It seems like he's much older. Melee is nailed. Okay, that's good to know, Kobe. Hopefully that's correct. In that case, I'm tempted to throw him in. I think it's a pretty decent option. I think him and Kjaer are good. Eriksson to Insigne. That's what I'm looking at. Yeah, that gives me an extra 0.5. Insigne is just a winger. Like, Eriksson, I'm worried he's going to have too many defensive responsibilities, and he's also going to be in a role that may tire him out a little bit. I think I'm actually going to get rid of Eriksson. I like Eriksson. I really do, but... And then I get extra 0.5 million. Not sure I can really do much with that, unfortunately. I mean, I could upgrade Llorente. I like sorting by price, by the way. I just think it's the best way to do it, but it doesn't really matter. How should I spend 0.5? Like, that's just a straight swap. That's fine. I get Berardi and Insigne. I get a better captain this week right away. I could actually sell Berardi then. Is there a good 6.5 midfielder? Because, like I said, I'm not too into Berardi. I don't think he's too necessary. Wish I could get a 7 million. I could go back to Shaqiri. Man, I don't love the 6.5s, to be honest with you. I could go down to Locatelli, and then I could have 1 million to spend somewhere else. That could be interesting. Is there a 6 million mid that I like more than Llorente? That's the question. I mean, Baumgartlinger, not bad. I don't mind him. Højbjerg. I could also just simply go Berardi to what Mr. Nasty Balls recommended to me earlier is and I thought about it a little more after that. Oh no, I can't. It's not quite. It's Fraser. I forgot. McGinn's 7.5. I thought he was 6.5. That's so unfortunate. I feel like that's overpriced. Or else I would go with him. So if I get Shaqiri, I don't know. I don't feel like anything works. I could just keep Berardi. Only 6 more minutes up, so I really have to decide quickly. There's Alaba plus 1 million. If I had something to do with that 1 million, that would be nice. but I don't think I do. I'm going to go to defenders, even though I think my defenders are fine. I could always get rid of Cajer for someone. I mean, I could bring in an Italian defender. I could get Locatelli in. Finland and Russia. Spinazzola, I mean. I could do Spinazzola. Spinazzola and Locatelli or Berardi and Cajer. Spinazzola, more attacking threat, better team. Certainly better than Cajer, I would say. Maybe not Locatelli. Maybe Alaba. I'm getting away from my 4.5 defenders here, but I think Spinazzola could be worth it. I only have 5 minutes, though, so I don't have long to decide. Dan James is interesting, yeah. I'm not completely... What do you say about... Oh, let me answer Sudanshi's question. Good to see you back. Depay to Arnautovic and Alaba to Ferran Torres. No, I mean, I'm not... I'm not a huge fan of Arnautovic, but I love the Alaba to Ferran Torres. I'm a fan of Ferran Torres, but I'm not huge into getting Arnautovic. Maybe someone else at that price, maybe Pukki, could be a little bit higher upside, more talismanic, I would say. I'm worried that Arnautovic isn't gonna start or isn't gonna be the talisman for Austria necessarily. What was I going to look up? I completely forgot now. Let me go ahead and make these changes, actually. I'll bring in Spinazzola. I was going to look up Spinazzola, but before I do that... I'll bring in Alba instead of Mr. Locatelli. And we will roll with Insigne. Getting away from the 4.5 defenders, but I think it's arguably the worst one. Now I don't have any Denmark players because I just got rid of both of them, which sucks, but it doesn't affect anything. I didn't really need a player on that day anyway. I think they play the same day as Lukaku does. Yeah, they do. So, Insigne captain. I like Insigne. I think he's better than Berardi. I think that gives me a more balanced team. And I'm fine with Alaba. That's fine with me. When do Austria play? Okay, yeah, I can leave them in then. So only 3 more minutes. Yeah, Eriksen certainly on every set piece makes him valuable. Thoughts on Dumfries? I personally would go for Wijndal over him, but Dumfries is fine as well. I'm not huge. I know I have 2 Netherlands players. I'm just going to say I don't trust them completely for whatever reason. Carrasco or Zielinski? Zielinski. I'm more worried about rotation with Carrasco. I think they're both fine, though. I think Carrasco, there's a decent chance of him playing. I would personally go with Zielinski, though. So my team is saved, I believe. Let's see if I can find a Euro tournament predictor that I can make in 1 minute. Does it lock in 1 minute? I'm sure it does. The game is going to start soon. I can't even click this fast. It's impossible. Alright, I got a minute. It's going to be random results. Belgium's first. This is not what I think is going to happen. I'm not going to make it. No. Let's see my predictions. Oh man, if that turns out to be correct, let me actually change this. Oh, okay. The deadline went. Italy and Turkey are going to be in the finals, guys. Italy's going to win it all. That's how you randomly click. I feel like I did a decent job in the groups, and then I just started clicking really fast. Is it locked now, or do I still have time to predict? That was fun. I almost forgot. Let's see if it'll let me change it. Yeah, I can see your. I can go review your team. Oh yeah, I can't, or else I'll lose all my points for my group stage. So I'm stuck with my super rush predictions, which is not what I actually think. If I had to give my predictions though while the game starts, which I should go watch it soon, I would say that Group A, I mean, it's going to be Italy, Turkey. Second place is actually going to be tough, and I'm excited to see who wins. I kind of hope it's Switzerland because I have Ricardo Rodriguez, but I'm going to say, I'm going to say Italy, Switzerland, Turkey, and Wales. I'm going to say Wales last. Group B, Belgium, Denmark, Finland, Russia. I think Russia finished last. Group C, Netherlands, Ukraine, Austria, North Macedonia. I mean, North Macedonia almost had to be last. I feel like they're arguably the worst team in the tournament. Group D, I think England will win. I actually think second place is going to be close. I'm going to go Czech Republic, Croatia, then Scotland last. Group E, I agree with how I picked it. Group F, I agree with how I picked it, but it's too close to call, really. Between Portugal and France, especially. Third place qualifiers, I would say those are what I would say anyway. So yeah, the rest of this is just not what I would predict at all. But if I had to predict a winner of the tournament, my personal team that I think is going to win, I'm actually going to go with Portugal. But again, there's so many good teams. The teams I'm going to predict that aren't going to win it, that could be borderline, a lot of people would disagree with. Okay, I'll go with my top teams. I think the best teams are Portugal, France, England, Spain, Belgium. I think that's the best five. I think Spain is the best four. Without Spain is like the people I really think are going to win. And then Spain's like an awkward fifth team. Am I leaving anybody out? I think Spain and Italy are like fifth and sixth in whatever order. And then after that, you have Germany. That's sort of the way I would put it. I put Germany about the same quality as better than Netherlands, but around that quality, I suppose. So that's sort of how I'm looking at it right now. But we'll see how Italy do today. Maybe they'll prove me wrong. I know I didn't rate them that highly. I do have two of their players, though, so wouldn't mind them doing well. But it doesn't matter right now who's going to win the tournament as far as fantasy goes. It just matters that we get some points. And that's completely dependent on a lot of other things. Well, I got a tournament prediction in. That's always cool. All right. Well, guys, thanks for joining the deadline stream. Good luck, everyone. Poland will win the Euros. I mean, it's possible. They at least have a striker that can finish. So if they manage to get him at least 3 or 4 chances every game, they may be able to outscore the opposition. But I think Poland are underrated by a lot of people. I had Lewandowski in my team for the longest time. I think he's a great option, but just too expensive in fantasy. If he was cheaper, I would have had him. But thank you guys for watching. You took the pie out. I can't really blame you that much. I don't trust him, but he is on penalties and everything for Netherlands. I just don't trust Netherlands. But yeah, I will see you guys next time. Hopefully this goes well. Remember to make all your subs and change all your captains and all that good stuff. But yeah, until next time, I will see you then.